Welcome again to Continent. Please welcome my wife here. I hope now this video can get some views. Hello. Anyways, we have a very interesting thing to talk about today. Please, let's jump in. Something that really fascinates me, since I've been married to my wife from Kenya, I have started to learn about Kenyan cultures and tribes. And I keep getting fascinated because how does a community take land that is very dry, very unpredictable, and sometimes unforgiving, and somehow they turn it into an identity? And that is what draws me to the Kamba people. Because when you think about the Ukambani, places like Machakos, Kitui, Makueni, it's not the easiest environment to live in. Right there is not very guaranteed. The seasons, they shift, the soil demands a lot of patience. But for generations, the Kamba, the Akamba, they have built life there. And it's not just life because they have culture, they have trade, they have art, they have systems.
Yeah, and what's powerful is that their story isn't just random. The Kamba are a Bantu community whose ancestors migrated centuries ago, moving gradually and settling in the eastern part of Kenya. Oral traditions talk about movement, about them searching for land, about adapting to new environments. And by the time they established themselves in Ukambani, they had already learned something very important. Things like you survive by adjusting, or you observe the land, you work with it.
Yeah, exactly. And that mindset, it shows up everywhere. Let's say in farming, they grow millet, they grow sorghum, maize, beans, peas. All these crops that handle really tough conditions, and they keep cattle. They have goats and sheep, and so they understand the seasons in a way that comes from experience, not just theory. Also, historically, they are known as long distance traders. They're very interesting. They are moving across regions, they're exchanging goods, they're building networks, and that mobility shaped their identity. It made them really good negotiators and connectors. So, when people reduce communities like this to stereotypes, I always think there is so much more under the surface.
Under the surface. Chini ya maji, yeah? And like one of the most beautiful expressions of that part or the intelligence is food. Take Kinaa, a fermented millet porridge. It sounds simple, millet flour, water, sometimes fermented milk. You just mix it and you let it rest. It sours, it thickens, it transforms. But that transformation itself is knowledge. So like in hot climates, food spoils quickly. Fermentation becomes preservation, and preservation becomes survival, and survival becomes tradition. So, Kinaa is not just something you just eat. It's something that connects generations. Yeah.
Wow. And I think what's interesting is that fermentation is actually a thread you see across Kenya. In the Rift Valley, the Kalenjin people are known for mursik. It's a fermented milk prepared in a smoked gourd. It's thick, it's tangy, and slightly smoky. It's shared during some important moments, celebrations, or homecomings, and I've noticed also a lot of community gatherings. So different communities, different method, but it's the same principle. They are preserving what they have and they make it last and meaningful.
And I think this is where pride comes in, because sometimes modernization makes people feel like traditional foods are old-fashioned or rural or less important. But when you look very closely, these practices are actually sophisticated. There's science before science was written down, like the way I like to eat with my hands with rice. They are memory, they are identity.
And the same goes to art. I'm sure if you're an artist, you know what we're talking about, because the Kamba wood carving is known far beyond Kenya. They have these detailed sculptures of animals, of human figures, daily life scenes, and that level of patience and craftsmanship, it doesn't appear overnight. I think it is passed down and it evolves over time. You also see women weaving some beyond the basket, the music, the dance, the storytelling. And these are not just activities, they are systems of education and the ways of preserving basically worldview.
And at the same time, let's be honest,
Yeah.
there are still conversations happening today. Urban life is changing things. Young people are moving to the big cities. Some traditions fade. Some adapt. Some are misunderstood. Sometimes communities misunderstand each other. So maybe this is the moment to ask real questions. Um, Questions like, how do we preserve culture without freezing it? How do we celebrate tradition without judging modern choices? How do different Kenyan communities learn from each other instead of competing? Competition.
Yeah, because these questions are important because the truth is Kenya is incredibly diverse and that diversity is strength. But it also requires listening. So let's say if you're a Kamba, we genuinely want to hear from you. Uh, what does Kinaa mean in your home today? Is it everyday food? Is it ceremonial? Uh, has it changed over time? What's your experience? What traditions are you proud of that people outside your community may not fully understand?
And if you're, Kalenjin or from another Kenyan community with fermentation traditions, share your perspective too. What does Mersik represent to you? It's more than milk. What do you think people get wrong about it? Let's actually talk about it. And when I say talk, not argue, talk like with a dialogue.
Yeah, because because culture is not something we observe from a distance. It is actually something we participate in. So, and if this video does anything, we hope it just sparks hope. It just sparks pride and curiosity, and maybe even a little debate. The good kind, the one that teaches.
Yeah, so share your stories, correct us if needed, add some depth, educate us. Let's build something in the comments. In that comment section that reflects the richness of the Kenyan cultures.
Yeah, thanks again, guys, for watching. Tell us what you think. Subscribe. And again, I'm very happy. My wife agreed to come in front of the camera. I will see you in the next video. You say Karibu Tena, right?
Yes. Karibu 10.